Welcome, I'm Jim, and today I'm going to help you choose what welder you should buy. So the first thing you need to do is decide what you want to be using the welder for. You're going to be patching rust in the car, you're going to be welding up a crack in an aluminium boat, you're going to be building a scaffold for the side of the house. Once you've decided that, you're halfway there. So let's start with the cheapest welder, shall we? An arc welder is the most basic of all welders. Pretty much I've seen people weld with a couple of truck batteries and a welding stick. Personally, I wouldn't recommend this, but I have seen it done. Arc welders are also referred to as stick welders or MMA welders. You can pick these up starting at around $100. And your accessories you're going to need are the normal stuff: a helmet, some gloves, and some welding rods. And you're off and running. These things have been around since the beginning of time. They're best used in heavy-duty applications, welding big, fat chunks of metal. They penetrate really deep into the steel and extremely strong welds, used for things like pipeline and bulldozer blades, truck beds. These welders, with enough amperes, you could weld 2 trucks together and you would not get them apart. Best thing about arc welders, you can use these guys in the wind, you can use them in the dust and the dirt, you can use them in the rain. In fact, you can actually use them underwater. Yes, that's right. Deep sea divers weld pipelines and the sides of ships with arc welders. Not that I'd really want to do it, but they do. So if you want to weld 2 plates of 20mm steel together in a dust storm, in the rain, you'll get electrocuted. No, then you're going to want an arc welder. Now, here we go. But, there's always a but. They don't do a good job on things like stainless steel. They won't really weld aluminium. They're messy. They make lots of sparks, set fire to everything, put splatters of hot molten metal friggin' everywhere. They leave what's called slag on the top of the welds, which is the flux residue left over from the rods that helps them melt and stick. If you want to weld a car exhaust, or like 1mm thin metal, or thinner metal, I should say, then this will make you wish you'd never been born. You'll just blow holes in it all day long. It'd be like using a plasma cutter. Getting these things to start an arc in the first place is often a real pain in the arse. They'll shit and fart and stick. Unless you've spent many, many hours using one of these things, you need to invest in a good grinder, because there's a saying when it comes to arc welding, and it's a grinder and paint makes me look like the welder I ain't. And that is just so true. Now, of course, you're always going to get that person.
Oh, Jim, I managed to weld up 2 razor blades with an arc welder at 250 amps.
Well, fantastic. There's always one person that says shit like that. Look, I have managed in the past to weld up a car muffler when I absolutely had no choice in the matter with an arc welder. Would I recommend it? Fuck no. Would I want to do it again? Shit no. It was a absolute MIG welders. MIG welders start around the $300, $350, $400 mark. Basically 2 types, gas and gasless. The gas MIG needs an argon or some other type of inert gas to use as a shield when welding. I tell you what, one of these things can make you look like an expert within the first couple of hours. Gasless MIGs don't require any shielding gas. The wire has a flux inside of it, sort of like soldering wire? How about solder? Brain fart. So MIG welders are probably one of the most popular welders for home handymen, as you can weld reasonably sort of thickish metal, and you can weld reasonably light gauge metal, down to around 1mm or so. Anything thinner than that takes a lot of practice. Now, people do use MIGs for stainless steel and aluminium, but they are far, far from ideal for this. Most people using aluminium will use what's called a spool gun, and the last time I checked for a spool gun for my MiG was at least $350+, and that was for a cheap Chinese one. So ignore the naysayers. If you're looking for something to weld stainless steel, aluminium, copper brass, all that kind of stuff, then keep looking, because a MiG ain't going to do it for you. A MiG is going to be a beautiful general purpose welder that you can use to weld up an exhaust. You could use it to patch rust holes in your car, slap together a homemade barbecue. The only other thing you need with a MiG really is a spool of wire. And if it's gasless. If it's gassed, then you're going to need a bottle of argon. You're going to need to rent that shit. You're going to need a regulator and all that crap as well. My best sort of advice to you would be to get a gasless MiG. I've got one. I don't find anything wrong with them. A lot of the ones you buy these days are gas and gasless, so all you got to do is just choose what type of wire you want to buy. The gasless MiGs don't weld quite as nice, but they do weld. They do a great job. Good for the home DIY, man in the garage, want to build your first car, etc., etc., etc. So let's bring on the big boys. TIG stands for tungsten inert gas. Once the domain of only manufacturers of things like aluminium bull bars, boats, ute trays. TIG these days has actually become very popular with the serious DIY handyman. A AC/DC TIG, where it's going to cost you not much change under $1,000, that's for sure. And once you get a whole lot of consumables and a whole lot of other crap that's going to go with it, it's going to be at least up around the $1,500 mark. And thus is why I said the serious home DIY. You're also going to need bottles of gas, which, well, here in Australia they cost about $100 a pop, and they've been lasting me about 2 months or so, I guess. Plus you got to pay for the rental on the bottle as well, which is another, I don't know, I think it's like $20 a month or something like that. Then you got to drive all the way to the other side of bloody town. You got to put one of these bastards in the back of your truck, and they weigh like fucking 200 kilos. You've got to be keen. You've got to really want to be doing it. You're going to need a lot of things with these as well. You're going to need cups. You're going to need tungsten rods. You're going to need different rods for every application you're going to use it for. Now, these TIGs, right, or a TIG, I should say, it'll weld copper, it'll weld stainless steel, it'll weld brass, it'll weld normal plate steel, it'll weld pretty much bloody anything, actually, but you're going to need a different rod for every single one of those things. And not always, but a lot of the times people like to use different tungsten tips for each one of those as well. You're also going to need different size cups, and then after a while you're going to want some more torches, and yeah, so if you really want one of these things, be prepared to start crumpling up some $100 bills and just throwing them at your workshop. You're probably right about this time thinking, why the hell would I want a TIG? Because they are versatile. They will do almost anything. And the welds, once you get good at it, right, are beautiful. Absolutely amazing. In fact, TIG welders, as in the person who welds with a TIG, they are considered an artist. All you've got to do is look at a couple of YouTube channels. I'll chuck up a couple of pictures on here so you can see. Absolutely amazing. It'll take me a lifetime to learn how to weld like that. And yes, there is an extremely steep learning curve. But if you want a machine that's going to do absolutely everything, then this is what you're going to need. You sort of don't really have much choice in the matter. So there you go. I hope this has helped a little bit. I hoped it was slightly entertaining, or at least it helped with your insomnia and put you to sleep. Hey, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and we will see you next time. So as normal, as per usual, we'll see you around like a result. Setters.